Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Circuit Horde. We are continuing on with Reassembly. And when I mean we, I mean Zach. I'm just here watching.
Reassembly.
This
No!
this is, if you haven't tuned in to any of the previous episodes, this is an indie game you can get on Steam. It's really cool. We dive a little bit deeper into explaining it in the first episode, but yeah. I preemptively plugged in my Ethernet cable into my router this time.
Gotcha.
So if my internet dies, it's my internet service provider.
And we need to sue.
It's their fault. So anyway,
If you have any complaints, please send them to. Do you have the internet service provider's email address at hand?
I don't.
Damn. Okay.
And I don't know if it would be wise to say who my
service
provider is.
I know. I was joking.
Yeah, had a little hiccup in the last episode where my Wi-Fi just died for some reason.
I thought you had gotten like called away or something because like in the recording I'm like, hello, Kevin, am I doing this on my own now?
Yeah, no, my Wi-Fi just died. I don't know why, it just did, so. But the remedy was my 100-foot long Ethernet cable, which I route down the stairs.
Did you like quickly grab it and then spool it down the stairs?
Yeah.
This is the...
Exactly.
Which group is this? What does it say? It's the Borg.
We already explored a pretty good size of the map. This is a really cool faction.
I really like this faction, yeah. All of their ships are bulky.
I want to point out that this is one of the factions that have buildings on asteroids.
And it's one of the factions that we accidentally cut out in our test recordings, because by default, I believe they are disabled.
Yes, I think you're right. I know Spiky Plant for sure is one of them.
I hate Spiky Plant.
We have encountered Spiky Plant earlier in the series.
And they've murdered me multiple times.
Yeah.
Just me trying to like set up a space station in a Spiky Plant area. It's like, no, this sucks.
Yeah. Spiky Plant is a faction where you need to bring along a fleet with like capital ships that have like insane weaponry on them. That's how I take down Spiky Plant. Do you know the difference between an asteroid and a meteor?
In this game or in real life?
No, in real life. Speaking of asteroids, because I brought up asteroid.
Isn't a meteor? I'm thinking of comet. I was gonna say they're like made out of ice primarily. I think that's comet.
That is a comet.
That's a comet. Meteors are ones that are falling to Earth. Asteroids are in space.
Correct.
Yes, let's go.
Correct.
On my facts.
So asteroids are basically any rock out in space. And well, not any rock. I'll explain that a little bit later. But a meteor is an asteroid that enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Let's see what type of asteroid.
I don't know if it has to strike the ground for it to be a meteor. I think it just has to enter the atmosphere.
Maybe it's a meteorite if it doesn't hit the surface. Is that correct?
Meteorite, I'm not sure.
Or is that size-based?
Meteorite might refer to the rock that the meteor is made out of. If I had to guess, let me search. Define meteorites. I guess meteorite is just synonymous with meteor. So going back on asteroids, and I said an asteroid is any rock floating out in space. That's not 100% true, because you could classify the planet Mercury in that way as an asteroid, but it's not an asteroid, it's a planet. So what's the difference between a planet and an asteroid? Or let's say a terrestrial planet, because obviously you have the gas giants and the ice giants like Jupiter and Saturn and Uranus and Neptune, which are obviously not asteroids because they're not made out of rock. They might have a rocky core, but they're made out of gases.
I don't remember what the answer to that was, but yeah, no, I'm not sure if they do have an actual surface. It'd be hard to find out either, because you'd probably get crushed.
Well, I don't know if it would be. I don't know if it would be possible ever, because you travel toward the center of a gas giant, and the pressure is just so massive that
you'd die.
You would get crushed, and even if you weren't crushed, it might be it might be so dense that it would be impossible to move through. But a planet, what makes a planet different from an asteroid, from my understanding, are two main criteria. One, a planet has to be massive enough for gravitational forces to shape the planet into a spherical shape. So that would eliminate probably 90% of asteroids that exist, because
from being planets, because they're not exact.
They're not spherical in shape. So then you would.
And I would assume it would assume they have to orbit the sun, because if they were something else, then it'd just be a moon.
Yes, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. It has to orbit a star. So with that criteria, you may think, okay, well, is Pluto a planet? Because one, Pluto is massive enough to be compressed into a sphere. But this is why Pluto is not classified as a planet. And started the huge debate of whether Pluto is actually a planet or is not a planet, and I do not consider it a planet. When you take a look at the definition,
those are some fighting words. I'm just kidding.
They are fighting words.
You heard about Pluto, right?
A lot of people take it very seriously. So here is what separates Pluto from being a planet from the rest of the planets. So in order for a planet to be considered a planet, it has to be a certain percentage of the overall mass of all of the objects that share the orbit with that planet, with that body. So what that means is that Earth, and I don't know what the exact percentage would be, but I mean, I could look it up. What makes a planet a planet? But in short, okay, this is how NASA defines that rule. It must be big enough that its gravity has cleared away any other objects of a similar size near its orbit around the sun.
Gotcha.
So, Earth, for example, shares its orbit. Or Earth is not the only body in its orbit around the sun. The Earth shares its orbit with hundreds of asteroids. But Earth is gigantic compared to those asteroids. The issue with Pluto is that Pluto is not big enough for it to have cleared its orbital path with similar sized objects. And Pluto, it turns out, is an asteroid in it's called dwarf planet, which, okay, but technically it's also pretty much an asteroid. Pluto is a part of the Kuiper belt. There's two main asteroid belts in our solar system. There's the asteroid belt, and that's what it's called, the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And one body, I think there was one asteroid in the asteroid belt, or I guess you could call dwarf planet, that called into question the legitimacy of Pluto being a planet. And it is called Ceres, where Ceres is a dwarf planet.
Good job, you ruined it for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. That is around a similar size of Pluto. So, yeah. I think that was the breaking point of, like, do we consider Pluto a planet? Because if we do, we would also have to consider the dozens, if not hundreds, of other spherical asteroids that are in the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt. But anyway, the asteroid belt is between Mars and Jupiter, and then you have the Kuiper belt, which is beyond the planet Neptune, which is the asteroid belt that Pluto is in. It's also an important thing to state that the only reason Pluto was ever considered a planet to begin with is that astrophysicists believed Pluto to be around the same size of Neptune and Uranus for about 60 years.
Just because they didn't have the resources to observe it properly.
Yes, exactly. Pluto was discovered in the 1930s. And for about 60 years, we didn't really have the ability to observe Pluto in a way that would give us an accurate measurement. So it was about the 1990s when astrophysicists were like, oh, Pluto is actually incredibly small. It's not the size of Uranus or Neptune. It's not even close. It's not even as big as our moon.
Jesus.
So, but for between the 1930s and the 1990s, it was thought that Pluto was an ice giant or a gas giant. So if we had discovered Pluto much later, when we had like the proper instruments to gauge the size of
it probably would never have been
planets, it never would have been considered a planet to begin with.
Very controversial. This episode is gonna bomb.
Is this the episode that's going to get us canceled by the astro nerds that are
That's like
Pluto aligned.
That's like 100% of our community. I think you just fucked us up.
I mean, we are in the middle of 2 space-themed games right now.
We have to talk about space in some way. This had to be brought up. We had to bring up Pluto.
Yes.
I'm trying to make this a safe spawner, but it's still not safe.
I'm gonna put out
all of these little dudes.
I'm gonna put out a podcast recommendation, and it's Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he talked about the history of Pluto in an episode where he said, and this is where I get most of my information from, that when Neptune was discovered, so let me turn the clock back to the 1800s.
Okay.
Uranus was, I believe, the first planet to essentially be discovered on paper. So every planet, like Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
I feel like Earth would have been the first one discovered, to be honest.
Yes. Well, Earth was not originally considered a planet.
Call it then.
Neil deGrasse Tyson elaborates on this, but the definition of planet has changed drastically over history, where the term planet, the definition of planet originally meant anything that moved against the background stars in the sky, which means that the sun was considered a planet, the moon was considered a planet, and then you had Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, which can all be seen with the naked eye. So all of those planets were not really, they weren't discovered by a single person. The ancient people knew, our ancestors knew of Saturn and Jupiter and these other planets because they could see them. But the 2 planets in our solar system that you cannot see with the naked eye is Uranus and Neptune. And I don't know if it was Uranus or Neptune, but I believe Uranus was the first planet to be theorized to exist, because when astronomers,
some like other celestial objects.
Yes. So when astronomers observed Saturn, they were like, Saturn is not moving exactly to it's not acting like it is following the laws of Newton's laws of motion, essentially. So they were like, there has to be another planet beyond Saturn that is pulling on Saturn to deviate from what we would predict Saturn to move. And sure enough, Uranus was found. Neptune was the same. Neptune was the same thing. Neptune was discovered because Uranus was not following the predictions of what Uranus should follow if it was following Newton's laws of motion. So Neptune was found. And then here's the interesting thing. Neptune was also not following Newton's laws of motion. They weren't able to accurately predict where it was going to be. So then they were like, there has to be another planet out there that is pulling on Neptune. And then Pluto was found in the 1930s, and they were like, oh, this has to be it. And that's why they thought for about 50, 60 years, that's why they thought Pluto was a lot bigger than it was.
Gotcha.
But after it was discovered that Pluto is actually incredibly small, and wouldn't have any sort of influence on Neptune. They looked back at their data, and they were like, okay, well, maybe the data for Neptune is actually incorrect, the data that we have. And so they observed Neptune again, and they recorded data on it, and sure enough, Neptune was following. They were able to predict where Neptune would be. It was following Newton's laws of motion in a predictable way. So there, as far as we know, there isn't any other planet in our solar system, at least anything that is, I mean, maybe there's something incredibly far out that we just can't see because, one, it's super far away, and two, it's so far away from the sun that it's not receiving a whole lot of light.
So it would be hard to see.
It would be hard to see because it's so dark.
It'd be crazy if because they've sent out a few not satellites, but like
probes.
Yeah, probes. It'd be interesting if they did that one time and they're just like, what is that? That's no moon.
Oh, that's a planet. Speaking of that snow moon.
Yep.
Did you know that there's a moon of Saturn named, I might be pronouncing it wrong, Mimas.
Mimas?
And it looks, what?
I said Mimas, are you fucking kidding me?
Or it might be Mimas or something. It's Mimas. I'm not very good at pronunciations.
Oh, okay.
It's a moon of Saturn, and it looks like the Death Star.
Oh,
because
no, I thought you were I thought what you were wanting to say was that it was named like that because there's the person that named it was a memer or something.
Oh,
I'm like, are you kidding?
It was actually discovered in the 1700s, but so it predated memes as we know them today. But
well, I mean, the word memes comes from the word memetic.
Yeah. But this moon of Saturn looks like the Death Star because it has a massive, gigantic impact crater on one side of it that looks like the Death Star death ray emitter thing. It's really interesting.
Really fucking cool. You know, it'd be really cool if we took that moon and did something really cool with it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's some interesting stuff about space. Another interesting fact about our solar system that I feel like should be common knowledge but actually isn't is that I'm pretty sure this is correct, that all of the gas and ice giants in our solar system, which would be Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, they all have rings. But the rings of Jupiter and Neptune are so faint that you can't easily see them, even with a telescope.
Oh.
But sure enough, there are rings. They do have ring systems. Another thing about Jupiter is my favorite planet in the solar system.
What makes it
other than Earth. I do like Earth, but Jupiter,
you just
I like its storms, and it's
I think
the
that's
most
really cool.
If
how long was the red spot there? Because isn't that just a storm?
It's been recorded since at least the 1800s. The early 1800s. It is shrinking in size, though.
Yeah.
so it's not going to be there forever. It's nearing the end of its life essentially.
That's still
But
crazy that it's lasted that long.
um, if Saturn didn't have its rings, Jupiter would be the most visually striking planet because of its storms and its all of its like mixtures of gases. Um, Jupiter is, of course, the biggest planet. It has storms that have existed for hundreds of years. It acts as Earth's shield, basically, where um, Earth doesn't get impacted by as many
Oh no.
meteors as it normally would because Jupiter attracts all the big asteroids and eats them up. um, Jupiter is also incredibly radioactive, which makes it really hard to send
Sex.
probes and record
Gotcha.
data,
Yeah, I assume that
which
would
is something,
fuck up like anything
yeah,
they send in there.
um, that was something I didn't even know until recently, but Jupiter is like so incredibly radioactive. Um, very interesting.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Don't try to ram into the enemies.
the
They're known
farmer.
for that. No, those are
Oh,
not
the
farmers.
Sentinels.
They're
Sentinels.
one of their primary functions is they have like hull pieces that are used for melee damage.
Yeah.
I just like accidentally rammed into one and lost half my ship.
I saw one at a glance, and they have a similar color scheme to the farmers, so I thought it was a farmer for a second, but
That's no
no,
farmer.
Sentinels. Yeah, I think earlier you came across the B faction,
I did.
didn't you? Yeah.
And
They also build.
so the thing that was where I was built when we were talking about Pluto. Yeah, there was
Yeah.
a B faction right next to a Borg faction, and they're fucking dueling over the asteroid
Yeah, that's
space.
really cool.
Right now, I'm just kind of exploring. I still haven't seen any agents. I don't know what's going on. Cause like, don't they show up on the map? Yeah, agents are on the map. I have not seen a single one.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that because you can see them even in sectors you haven't explored.
So like some new update thing that they update it and.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
alternatively, is the map gonna expand when I go to the edge of it, and I've just like been exploring a tiny portion of it?
Yeah.
Here, let me just try to go to the map boundary.
Well, what's weird to me is that you haven't run into an agent yet. That's the weird part.
And we put on quite a few agents, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Out.
Going back to the solar system, another thing I wanted to bring up is that Venus is often known as the brightest planet, like in the Blue's Clues song. I think it's also the hottest planet. What people don't realize about Venus, because you hear about all these lunar rovers and Martian rovers, Mars rovers.
Yeah.
And but you don't hear about Venusian rovers. And it's not because NASA and other space agencies haven't tried. It's because the surface of Venus is so inhospitable. It's like Hurricane Katrina across the entire planet.
Hurricane Tortilla.
At all times. Plus, it's incredibly hot. I think somebody said that if you had a house on Venus and you wanted to cook a 12-inch pizza all you would have to do is set the pizza on the windowsill for 3 seconds,
Holy shit.
and your pizza would be cooked.
No, you would be cooked.
That's how hot it is on Venus.
If you're going, make sure you go at night and that you have AC.
Yeah.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Is that an agent? No, I don't see it on the mini-map.
No. We turned on agents.
I've never seen that before.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe agents on the mini-map are just bugged. Who knows?
Wait, I'm checking.
That's actually a really smart thing to change the faction name to Circuit Ward.
I'm going back and looking at, yeah, we created the world with 25 agents. I just checked the recording. We have 25 agents and we haven't seen any of them.
That's very strange.
Yeah, we'll change it from Yikey to Circuit Ward.
But Venus, every picture you see of Venus, actual picture, that was taken with like,
it was created by the government.
A picture taken with a conventional camera. You can never see the surface of Venus. Now, the surface of Venus has been mapped,
Really?
but
it's just so bright that you can't.
Well, it was done with like infrared light or something. So
what about makes it brighter than like Mercury? Like what makes it so different?
I think it's the gases, the composition of the gases in its atmosphere. Because when you take a look at a picture of Venus taken with a conventional camera, the atmosphere is so thick that you can't see the surface. And like I said earlier, it's like the winds are so powerful, it's like Hurricane Katrina on the surface of Venus everywhere at the same time.
Terrifying.
No, that's basically the reason why nobody has successfully landed a working rover on Venus for like more than 10 seconds. The closest a space agency has ever gotten is the Russians. The Russians landed a probe. It wasn't like a rover that can move around. It was just meant to be a stationary probe that just sat on the surface of Venus. And it only reported back for like 10 to 15 seconds before it died.
Jesus. That's fucking crazy. That's why you always gotta apply your thermal kids.
I also, speaking of probes and rovers, I also want to point out how amazing, like how epic of a gamer the guys at NASA who pilot the rovers are, because the pain that they have to deal with. Yeah. It's like gamers are like, oh, I can't believe
so much
I
lag.
have like 200 millisecond ping, and then meanwhile NASA like engineers are like driving a rover at like what is it, like hundreds of thousands of millisecond delay or something. Maybe not that much. Like it's funny.
Whoa, the music. Help.
Yeah, it's like that scene from The Matrix where Neo goes to the sex club at the very beginning of the movie.
I haven't watched The Matrix in fucking forever. I think the last time I watched it, probably when I was like a teenager. Maybe like when I was like,
wow, really?
Like maybe like 12.
I never watched it until I was like 20. I want to say like maybe 26. So like within this last year. It was a movie that I watched The Matrix, and then I watched The Matrix Reloaded.
I think I only watched the first one. I never watched any of the sequels. I might have watched the second one. I think I'm at least watched the first and second.
I watched all 3 Matrix movies back to back. First Matrix movie is really good. I think it's a little. I mean, I don't think it's overrated. But a lot of people do think it's overrated, but I feel like it really deserves.
You just think it's rated?
Yeah, I think it's appropriately rated. The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions honestly really kind of suck.
Those are the animated ones?
In my opinion. Now there's the new one, and I haven't seen the new one. I also haven't seen the Animatrix. I haven't seen that. But yeah, Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions or whatever it's called. I
remember you said you didn't really like the third one.
No.
Am I remembering correctly that you were saying that it took you multiple days to watch it? Like you kept stopping and watching it?
Yes, I couldn't because it was so boring. Like, which, I mean, well, I don't know if boring's the right term. It was so confusing and boring to me.
I gotta sit this one out real quick.
My least favorite scenes from the first Matrix movie were the scenes when they were not in the Matrix, when they were in the real world. And the 2 sequels, especially the third movie, I feel like almost entirely takes place in the real world and not in the Matrix, which is I just hated.
Gotcha.
I do have a fan theory though about the third Matrix movie.
A game theory.
Which will spoilers for the third Matrix movie.
Oh well, I don't think I've watched it.
I don't even know if it's worth watching.
Okay. Okay.
This is a minor spoiler. I'm not going to say how it's revealed, but a piece of information is revealed that I'm about to share.
What?
The Matrix that you see in the movies is not the first Matrix that was made.
Yeah, I think I remember that. I thought that was one of the first ones that was revealed.
Nope, it's revealed in the third movie. It is like the 9th Matrix. The first Matrix that the AI made was a utopia perfect environment where like everybody got along, there was no war or fighting or disease or anything. It was just like a perfect place to live. But because it was so unrealistic, it was so unrealistically perfect that the people inhabiting the first Matrix were rejecting it.
They knew it was fake.
Yeah, they knew it was fake. So my fan theory about the first Matrix is that the 9th Matrix that we see in the movies, I think it's the 9th Matrix. The Matrix we see in the movies is based on Chicago. Now, they filmed the movies in Australia, but it's based on Chicago. My fan theory is that the first Matrix was modeled after Albuquerque, New Mexico. Because if you know anything about Albuquerque, it has a world famous Holiday Inn. The air smells like warm root beer. The towels are fluffy.
So your fan
Um,
theory is that Breaking Bad is the first Matrix.
yes. Uh, it the first Matrix took place was modeled after Albuquerque, New Mexico, because everybody knows that Albuquerque is like the most
Perfect. Oh my
perfect
god.
place.
In the universe.
The sun is always shining. The air smells like warm root beer.
So if they
Um,
continually make it more and more, or sorry, less and less hospitable, like they're like, oh, this one's perfect, it's not believable enough.
yeah.
Do you think they'll eventually get to Venus?
Yes. Yes.
I'm all for
Um,
Venus, the Venus Matrix, where no one lives for 5 seconds.
yeah.
Not even 5 seconds, you would die immediately.
Um,
God, it is so
so
hot here today.
a common issue, and I had like when I first watched The Matrix, I was like, this kind of doesn't make sense because uh but a lot of people have brought it up that the premise of The Matrix doesn't make sense, that the AI is using humans a as a battery, as a power source, but they have to feed the humans in order for the humans to generate power. So why can't the AI just get its power from whatever it's feeding the humans? Like why have a middleman
Advanced
where
microplastics. It's an advanced microplastics in their bodies.
I mean, you're going to lose a lot of energy by having a middleman. Like basically humans
This is why the
they can
Matrix AI is problematic.
they consume food, and the food turns into chemical energy, like or it turns into energy through chemical, means. But but every time you convert an energy source, like let's say chemical energy, like solar energy to chemical energy, or kinetic energy into heat, you're going to lose some energy. So why don't the AI just get their energy from whatever they're feeding the humans?
There.
Like it doesn't make sense, but
Oh, this. I'm gonna
it
die. I'm gonna die in like
it
5 seconds here. On a timer.
uh-oh. Let's see if you can capture this. Oh
Let's
god.
go! Get the fuck
Uh-oh.
out!
Uh-oh.
Fucking gun the engines, get the fuck out. I don't want to be in a flaky plant area. Shit.
But yeah, I really like the first Matrix movie, but I really dislike the second and third Matrix
Gotcha.
movies. I just think they're, especially the third one. I just think just really stupid. Um, yeah, like I just like I said, my least favorite scenes from the first Matrix movie are when they're outside of the Matrix, and the third movie I feel like is almost completely outside of the Matrix. It's, I mean, of course,
I don't
there's
know if I've
scenes within
watched
the
those,
Matrix.
but like it seems like it would be cooler outside of the Matrix.
Well, I just don't find it as interesting.
Right.
Whoa. Oh, that's a
It's a
wormhole.
gravity field, yeah.
Gravity field, I mean.
Woo! Yeah, the center. If you go to the center, you fucking die.
I should point out that I've only ever seen the second and third Matrix movies once, but I have seen the first Matrix movie multiple times.
That is a
So
fast-moving asteroid. Help. Okay, let's stop fucking around with the wormhole.
it was fun though. It was pretty fun. I should reiterate that Zach and I have played this game for at least a decade. Maybe not.
I
Maybe
haven't,
not me. Zach
yeah,
has probably played it for like 9 years. I've played it for probably 9 years.
probably date,
Um,
like, when I fucking, did it, but I have to, like, search, because I found the game through a YouTube video of someone that made a really cool fucking ship.
yeah.
Um, used to do Terraria stuff, but the YouTuber was Zero Gravitas, and he made a ship with the Sentinel faction that contained and like made it so that the ships wouldn't escape from the hull of the ship.
Interesting.
And so what he did is, so there's like an obliterator death rays that the Sentinels have, but they cost so much resources, right? That you can only have max 2 on a ship.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did is he put those on ships that were contained within his ship, and so he had like 12 death rays on a ship, essentially.
Yeah.
I'll have to send you the video. It's really fucking cool. But that was the video that introduced me to the game. I'm like, I gotta play this. This looks dope. And I played it on a fucking like Apple Mac with like no processing power.
I brought up how long we've played this game because it sounded like, I'm like, oh, gravity well, or whatever. Like, I've never seen it before. It's because I have never seen it before, because that's a new addition to the game.
Yeah, that's a DLC that came out a couple years after, or hold up, when was that? Let me I can probably just double check right here. Reassembly Fields expansion came out in 2019, so it was like probably like halfway through its lifespan, like the game's life. What are you making?
Yeah.
What is this? What button is it?
It almost looks like he made a skull on the map.
Where? Oh,
Kind of looks like a skull.
unintentional. But yeah, you're right. It does kind of look like a skull. Those are big ships. Let's not fuck with them. We could.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could actually, and get some more resources. I'm trying to get as high up as I can so that we can start making really cool big ships and take over the galaxy.
It is the red faction after all, so how hard can they be? That ship's actually destroying a lot of your missiles before it can hit.
So we overwhelm it. Like that.
There we go. Got an A-nade.
Wait, it just generated another... It just created its own little baby station.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell it to do that. This guy had a baby.
Oh. Just melted a good portion of that ship.
There it goes.
Boom.
Delicious. Get the fuck out. This is a pretty decent ship, though. Its handling is kind of funky, but like, just the amount of missile racks and the point defense things, it's really quite formidable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with this one. And also, it's cheap as hell.
I love how the battle nurse is like, no, don't get behind me.
You get behind
That's my
it,
weak
dead.
spot.
Don't get anywhere closer. Don't do it. It's so close to going in that gravity well. Don't do it.
And what if this game actually had planets? That would be wild. I don't know what purpose they would serve in the gameplay though.
Yeah. It'd be crazy trying to fly a ship under constant gravity like this.
You know, this game is basically a much more fleshed out, fancier version of the first stage of Spore, where you're
I've never played Spore.
little at the first like part
Like,
of the
I'm so
game
sorry, but I've never played Spore.
you
Blasphemy,
play
I know.
as a bacteria, and you can add parts and remove parts from your bacteria that serve purposes, but it's not nearly as has anywhere near the depth of this.
Right.
It's a very incredibly watered down version of this.
Yeah, I need 23 more credits. You'll do. Thank you.
If this game is as deep as a lake or an ocean, the first stage of Spore where you play as a bacteria is as deep as a puddle.
That's pretty cool. we got reassembly at home.
Yeah. Basically, it's reassembly at home.
Right. How big is that plasma cannon? Let's take a peek. Holy shit.
Dang.
That is fucking huge.
It
How much damage did that do? 270? How much was it really gonna do? 370. I sorry, 350. Did I read that so wrong? So the plasma cannon, the railgun does more damage, but this I believe shoots faster. Third speed.
There
No,
should be a
four rounds per second. This is 0.5. So this shoots way faster. So it
there
has
should
a
be
way higher
like
DPS.
yeah, I was getting ready to say there should be a DPS thing in that info bar and tooltip.
Yeah, we were tinkering with this ship last episode. I have no idea where we want to go with it. The whole design is very funky to work with for how small it is. I think I would need to like expand the ship, make it bigger. But yeah, no, that's how it is. How close are we? Okay, we have. You were keeping time, right?
Yeah, I'm keeping time.
My bad. But yeah, right now I'm just trying to build out our roster of parts and build up the P limit that we have. That goes up to 8,000. We're at 4,300. Normally, one of the ways I would get a lot of credits is by destroying agents, but I haven't fucking found any. Okay, we gotta kill that battle nurse. There we go. That was easy.
Boom. Just emoted on that battle nurse. I think emoted is part of that Gen Z brain rot slang. You know, this is a very unpopular opinion, I'm sure. But when I read Shakespeare, to me it's like reading Gen Z brain rot because of how I
The
can't
language sounds so different than what you're used to.
it's like so incomprehensible. Like,
Mhm.
why can't Shakespeare just talk like a normal person? Or like write like a I mean, I understand Shakespeare is from like 300 years or however long ago. I think it's 300 or so years ago, but
Mhm.
hold on, let me look it up. uh
Let's get your facts straight.
William Shakespeare.
Shake his
Oh my
spear.
gosh, whoa. A lot older than I thought. 15 Hundreds. Okay, so about 500 years ago.
Gen A.
I realize Shakespeare's from a different time, but the thing is that they make you read Shakespeare in school, and when I read Shakespeare, I feel like I'm reading Gen Z brain rot slang.
Alright, I'm gonna try to explore this bottom left corner. Hopefully there's agents there. Like, are all of the agents hanging out in one fucking spot? Like, what's going on? Can you look this up? What happened to the agents in this game?
Okay.
Like, I'm actually asking because I'm curious what the hell is happening. We're missing something. Do we have to go through a wormhole first?
No agents are spawning in my game. I saw many people on the Steam forums with the same issue, but none of the solutions helped.
Okay, we're going through a wormhole and we're seeing if that changes things.
According to many lagged, some agents in the server are corrupted and cause this problem on download. I've read somewhere the server is an old Mac too. I am using a mod to make agents appear. Take a look
Oh,
at
so
the forum.
the stuff got corrupted on the server side. Fuck.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That sucks. That was one of my favorite things about the game.
The most recent comment is, in case you found this thread from Google like me, which I did. Number 1, go into game properties and enable the game beta. 2,
the game
download
beta?
agent. Yeah, you can do that with a lot of games. I
We'll
do
have
it
to
with
do that.
Ravenfield.
Do we have to like restart the playthrough or some shit?
I have no idea. Second step is download agent mods from Steam Workshop. The vanilla agents seem to be bugged, corrupted for now.
It's a shame.
Looks like there's a mod called Agent Variety.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of sucks, but whatever. We're deep into this playthrough already, so
This is a wormhole. The spatial anomaly connects parallel universes. Objects entering the wormhole travel to all universes simultaneously, splitting into innumerable quantum states. You may only experience one universe at a time. Where would you like to go?
I think we should stay because I think our original goals with this playthrough were to defeat all the agents and explore all that we can.
That gave me 1,000 C.
Well, what do you know?
Jesus Christ. Okay, so yeah, let's go to this other one and use that just for some credits. That's 1,000 credits just for seeing one. Crazy.
Oh. I mean, only wormholes respawn.
There's 3 in our world currently. There's 3 in our world currently, so we'll keep 1 open.
Yeah.
And then we won't use that until we're ready to go through one. But it looks like it just gives you a prompt to generate a new world. It's been a minute since I've actually used one. Most of the time I just mess around with a single world. Let's get some free credits.
Dang.
Only enough to upgrade our points by one stage. That's unfortunate. The Skull Galaxy. We haven't explored this bottom right either. Let's go take a look down here. Well, the thing is we kind of already taken care of one of them, which is like defeat all the agents, because there are no agents.
Yeah.
Big sad.
That's unfortunate. We might have
someone's commenting on the first episode like, dude, the agents are gone, they've been gone forever.
Yeah. We'll probably do another playthrough of this game at some point where we actually have agents.
We'll do like maybe our last episode of this, we'll do a boss rush where we install the mods and then go through a wormhole, yeah. Regenerate the world with agents, and then just do a quick for fun last outing. That would be cool. Well, what do you know?
Yeah, I believe it's time to finish this episode.
Well, I think we should keep going.
Okay, well, I'm tired. It's
tired.
Late for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that'll do it for this episode, so we're going to close it out here, and hope you really enjoyed this episode, enjoyed my ramblings about
Matrix
space
and space.
Yeah, Matrix, space, and if you did, then like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and we will see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Oof.